All right, we are ready to go. Thank you all so much for being here today. Very excited to have you on board to learn more about the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities and what y'all have to offer. Please, ladies, take it away.
Thank you, Misty. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to today's workshop regarding HACU's National Internship Program. My name is Ebony King, and I'm HACU's Student Services Manager, and I work most closely with our corporate internship program, which we'll be learning about momentarily. However, at this time, I will turn it over to my colleague, Hannah Roberg, who works closely with our federal internship program to begin the presentation. Hannah?
Awesome. All right. Yeah. So as Ebony said, my name is Hannah Roberg, and I'm the director of HACU's National Internship Program on the federal side. So first I'll start off with just some history of HACU. HACU, the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, was established back in 1986. The National Internship Program started in 92. So it turns 30 years old next year. HACU overall is a nonprofit organization, and we advocate for Hispanic serving institutions and have several programs for students on HSI campuses. We have about 470 member institutions throughout the nation in Puerto Rico. And we, as Ebony said, we have federal and corporate internships available, and we'll definitely touch on those significantly today in spirit of your internship week. We have offices also in Sacramento, San Antonio, and DC. I am from the DC office, where Ebony, my colleague here, is joined from the San Antonio office. But we'll get started here with focusing on the federal side first a little bit with the internship program. The federal internship program has sessions in the fall, spring, and summer. So we are year round, where corporate is summer internships only. Speaking, just generally about HNIP, we are excited to be able to offer paid internships. So that is, I know when I was a student, that was next to impossible to find an internship in my major that was paid. So we are super happy to be able to offer all of our internships as paid and, spanning the whole gamut of majors with that. The number you see on the screen here is if you are working 40 hours per week, and that would be your pay. It depends for undergraduate versus graduate, so that's that difference there that you see. Right now, on the federal side, we are operating, on the corporate side too, but speaking of the fall, we are operating 100% virtual for the fall. It is likely that spring will also be 100% virtual. We do not have the final answer on that yet, but the reason I bring that up is because with our virtual internships, we are allowing part-time internships as well, not just full-time, which is traditionally what it is when it's in person. So to consider what your pay would be for part-time, I just want to mention that the pay is $15.25 per hour for an undergraduate student, whereas graduate students are $17 per hour. When we are in person, we do cover travel expenses for students, and then that would be to the orientation in DC, again, when we are in person, and then also to your internship site if it's not located in DC. So that is something we are very happy to be able to provide, is that is the covering of those travel costs. In terms of housing, we assist students throughout the process entirely by, arranging and figuring out the areas where it's best to have housing. We consider grocery stores, the metro, where your job site is, and making sure you're close to those locations. And then you have the opportunity to live with other HACU interns. And again, that is something that we fully arrange, so you don't have to stress about that in that process. Also very happy that we and take pride in the fact that our application is at no cost to students. So you can apply with no fee. Throughout the semester, we offer several professional development workshops as well as cultural events in order to make this just a really well-rounded, comprehensive, awesome professional experience for you. We also work with interns on receiving academic credit for your internship. We recognize that every institution has their own system of how they accredit an internship. So what that means on our side is that we are accommodating and work with you to make sure that we are following whatever process you need to follow for your institution. And with that, we do have some monitoring and evaluation that is done throughout the semester as touch points, and that can also be used for the academic credit. So in terms of how to become a HACU intern, you must be enrolled in a degree-seeking program, although recent graduates are eligible in some circumstances. We do require that you have finished one college year of courses. So that means full-time fall and spring, and then you're eligible already for summer. Then we do recommend a 3.0 GPA. But with that being said, especially on the federal side, we have placed many interns with GPAs lower than that. So that is, definitely something in order to keep your application as strong as possible, really focusing on that GPA, but also do not hesitate to apply with that being said. We, you are required to be able to legally work in the United States, but I also want to say that on the federal side, almost all of our positions with federal agencies require a security clearance, and in many of the security clearances require full U.S. citizenship. So there are positions for permanent residents and those that are legally authorized to work in the United States, but the vast majority of our federal agency positions, again, corporate's a little bit different, but on the federal side, requiring U.S. citizenship. And so, yeah, that is how you become a HACU intern. With that, I actually will review the application process. As you can see here, the nice diagram on the slide, we would like to direct you to our website, which is hacu.net/HNIP. From there, you'll click apply online, and the application will require obviously your basic information, contact information, etc. Then we have an education section for you to complete, as well as listing your references. We do require 3 references, and we encourage you to utilize whoever you think is going to be able to speak best about your skills. So, thinking critically about that, your references can be a professor, an academic advisor, a previous job supervisor. You have a lot of options there, but just making sure that you're choosing the people that will be able to, that know you well and be able to speak to you the best. Then we do have a work history section. This section may be changing actually soon in our application to just where you upload your resume. But right now it stands as entering your work history per job and dates and job description with that. Then we have an essay that serves a bit as a cover letter for applying to this internship. And then lastly, we have required documentation like an enrollment verification, which if you are not familiar with how to get that, Misty may be able to correct me, but usually that is something you can get through the office of the registrar at your university. And lots of times you can just request it online, but otherwise you can visit your registrar's office for more information on how to get proof of enrollment. And then we also require an official transcript. As I see Misty has a thumbs up, so awesome. Glad that was that was good. So then an official transcript and a letter of recommendation. And similar to the references, we would like to encourage you to, it's one letter of recommendation. So, just again, thinking critically about who can speak to your skills the best. Overall, with this whole process, I would just like to add that we highly, highly encourage you to reach out to your university's career center, writing center, what have you, to make sure you are putting forth the best application possible. I know when I was a student that, whenever I went there, I had this feeling of, why don't I come here all the time for every single thing I do? Because it's so helpful. The writing center being able to work with you on your resume, but especially your essay. And then, career services usually, again, maybe Missy, you can talk a little bit more about this for your students specifically, but having that ability to help review your resume and make sure that you are presenting the best application you can. If you have work experience waitressing and bartending and don't are confused as to how that would apply to a federal agency, you take that opportunity to really think critically again about the skills that you learned in that setting. So no, a restaurant is not the same as the United States Department of Agriculture, but you are still using your communication skills, your interpersonal skills, your time management skills, all of that, so that you inevitably learn many skills that can transfer to positions, and then just being able to work with career services. And Missy commented there in the chat, thank you so much, and to be able to work on that and present your best application possible. Moving on here, I know I talked about housing and travel a little bit already, but just to go into a little bit more detail, like I said, this is only applicable when our internships are in person. Like I said, for spring, it's very likely that we will be virtual 100% again. My suspicion for the future is that we're going to have a mix of both. We're going to have some in person, and we're going to have some hybrid, but that is some virtual. That's my personal opinion, so don't hold me to it, but that's what I think we're going to be seeing, because the virtual internships have been so successful, but there's a lot of benefits for in-person as well. So for in-person internships, you go to wherever the site may be, so that does require relocating, but for that's where this assistance comes in, with fully covering your round trip airfare, the transportation to and from the airport. We work to have HACU interns on flights together, just to support in that camaraderie there. And then, in terms of housing, we ensure that there's no need for security deposits, no administrative fees or first month's rent, which can be daunting when renting a place, but that is not necessary when we're arranging this for you. Also, no credit checks. So how it works is that your housing payment is deducted automatically from your paycheck, and that is, again, just a way that we fully arrange the process for you, so it's really stress-free for that relocation if you are doing an in-person internship. With that, I'll move on and talk about our internship dates. Yep, awesome. Thank you, Ebony. So as you can see here, our deadline for spring 2022 internships is going to be on October 29th. We highly encourage you to apply earlier than that and not on the last day, especially because you do need a letter of recommendation, transcripts, proof of enrollment, all of which you need to request in advance. So just, a plead to you to do your best, especially earlier on in the semester, maybe, end of September when you haven't gotten to midterms yet and all of that, being a good source of time there to get your application completed. And then, we have our upcoming dates for summer with a deadline of February 25th for the regular deadline. And then I would just also like to mention that the summer session is 10 weeks long, whereas fall and spring are 15 weeks. So that's just something to note. With that, I will wrap up here and talk about some, anecdotal experiences. So we have quotes here on the slide from two alumni of our program. And as they say, if I had known about this program as a student, I would have applied. I have said, I just keep saying that. It's such an amazing program to provide you with a paid internship, a foot in the door to federal agencies. I mean, it's not easy applying to federal government jobs and getting into the federal government where you can have a really fruitful career. So this opportunity to get your foot in the door is really momentous. And with the professional development we provide and whatnot, it's a really great program. And so on behalf of me as a student that didn't apply for this program. And because it, Max is saying here, it provided him that ability to write so many different things on his resume and be able to tailor it to future jobs. And just being able to have a part in the future of our federal government and having a worthwhile internship that's not just shuffling papers, which, it comes with every job, but you are doing really great work in these internship roles. So with that, I believe I'm ready to pass it over to Ebony to talk about the corporate internship program.
Thanks, Hannah. As she mentioned, I work closely with the corporate internship program. For the corporate internship program with HACU, we work with different corporations across the nation to assist them in attracting top talent from HACU member schools. For example, as you can see on the screen, we have different partnerships with Google, Future Housing Leaders, JLL, Deloitte, just to name a few. And we're always partnering with different organizations throughout the year. So if there's any that you don't see on the screen, there's a possibility that we might be reaching out to them to make those connections down the line and have them on as HACU corporate partners for our corporate internship program. For our application process for the corporate internship program, similar to the federal HNIP program, you will be applying via our website, hacu.net/CHNIP for corporate HNIP. For our corporate internship program, prior to us sending you over to those corporate partners for their own interviews, we will be working with you one-on-one to prepare you for a pre-screening and mock interview with HACU. So during the pre-screening for HACU, I or my colleague Mario Gonzalez will be talking with you via Zoom to discuss qualifications for the internship that you're applying for, as well as just get to know you better in terms of your behavioral skills and how you'll be a good asset to that corporation for that internship. So some questions we'll be asking you are you familiar with the corporation that you want to be interning for? Questions that we also wanted to know about you is, why are you interested in working for the corporation and what is going to draw you into doing well with that internship? Because you really want to know how you will be a good fit, not only for that corporation, but also how you represent HACU as being hired on as one of our interns during that process. If you pass the first round of interviews with HACU, from that moment on, we will then source you over to those corporate partners for their own interviewing process. Now, for the whole timeline that we anticipate for being hired on as a potential intern for that corporation, it really depends on how long that they take to go through everything with the candidates, their interviews, etc. We try to encourage them to kind of speed the process a little bit. So it'll be no more than like 4 to 6 weeks till we have a final answer in terms of if you're hired on as an intern or not with that corporation. But it really varies on their own schedule and their time they have set to fill those internships or entry-level roles that they have available with that corporation. And once you are hired on as an intern for that corporation, we'll definitely keep track of your progress during that internship, similar to federal HNIP, where we'll be monitoring and evaluating your progress during that summer internship, because as Hannah mentioned, all corporate internships are through the summer. They do not take place during the spring or fall. They are only take place during the summer. And as you can see on the screen, if you have any questions about the application process, you can reach out to me or my colleague, Mario Gonzalez, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have about the corporate internship program. Another thing I would like to mention as well is, unlike the federal internship program, corporate is very, very, very competitive. I know that they place for federal up to 470 interns per year. For corporate, it's up to 35 per corporation that we do work with. So we really encourage you, as Hannah mentioned, to go to your writing center, visit career services on your campus, to have someone guide you through the application process, to make sure that you're putting forth the best effort in applying for not only the federal, but the corporate internship program, because as we mentioned, they are very competitive. And we want you to stick out and have a good chance of being selected as a HACU intern, not only with us, for the corporation that you're interested in working with as well. And also, we offer scholarships here with HACU. To apply for one of our scholarships, you have to be attending a HACU member school, which of course, Temusa is a HACU member school. If you have any previous internship or work experience, that can definitely send out for your application as well. If you are a leader in a student org, you can put that on your application as well. We'll make sure to put that in there and make sure it stands out for the selection process as well. And also a bonus if you are involved in a conference or study abroad program for your university. That shows you're willing to step outside of your comfort zone to try new experiences, and that should help you stand out as well within the application process for these scholarships. And before I move on to Adelante, for scholarships, that we do have a few open via our website as well. I believe we have the Deloitte Scholarship open and our Disney Scholarship open as well. And if you visit the link on the screen, you can find out where to apply and when to submit your application by for those various scholarships. For Adelante Leadership Institute, this is part of our annual conference with HACU. This year, it'll be our 35th annual conference, and it'll be taking place actually from October 24th to 27th. It'll be a virtual event this year, as opposed to, it was supposed to be in Denver, Colorado this year, but of course, due to COVID, we have had to postpone it to a virtual event. But for Adelante, we take the student track portion of our annual conference and we take it over 3 days. So for example, you'll be meeting with different corporations and federal partners that we do work with to discuss various internships, different jobs they have available, and just increasing your networking potential as well, just getting your name out there and how you can network with different corporations and federal partners, meet up with your fellow peers to discuss internship roles as well, and just participate in different career development workshops throughout those 3 days for Adelante Leadership Institute. And for our Leaders in Residence program, the application is closed for that this year, but this is a scholarship that will help you attend for future reference, help you attend the annual conference for Adelante. So for example, if you're interested in applying for next year's conference, which will be in San Diego, you would apply via our website. And basically, the scholarship is going to help you basically get to Adelante. So we'll help you with your trip, round trip airfare, your lodging, registration and meals for Adelante. Throughout the program, you'll be participating in different webinars for the academic year. And as the leader in residence for HACU, you'll be serving as sort of a liaison for HACU and your campus. So you'll be promoting HACU opportunities to your fellow peers to encourage them to apply to our programs and services as a way of becoming a leader in residence for HACU. Once you complete the program, you'll be receiving a complimentary HACU student affiliate annual membership. And like I mentioned before, although this year's application deadline it has expired, if you're just thinking for next year's annual conference as well in San Diego, we'll definitely have the program open once again for students who are interested in becoming a leader residence with HACU. And of course, for Adelante as well, Temusa is more than welcome to sponsor students to attend that part of the conference as well. We hope that we do have Temusa students in attendance for Adelante Leadership Institute, as this is a great program, like I mentioned, to network with different corporations and federal agencies, and just to get your name out there and just participate in many different development activities throughout those 3 days for our annual conference. And this is an overview of our Student Services Department. Like I mentioned, we have our scholarship program that you can apply for and check out what we have available at the link right here. For our annual conference, like I mentioned, our Untitled Leadership Institute, you can learn more at the link listed on the screen as well. We also have our own job board per the link though, which is where students can upload their resumes to be reviewed by employers, and employers post jobs daily via that website. So if you click on the link on the screen, you can go visit our job board and upload your resume. This is a great way also to network with different corporations and get your name out there to look for different internships and or full-time opportunities within your field of interest. Our regional summits, we actually had an Emerging Leaders Summit with TAMUSA back in February of this year. This is basically an event, I call it a smaller version of Adelante, where it's only for one day, but students are more than welcome to apply that are attending schools in a certain region. And we encourage students from majors of STEM, communications, business, and or liberal arts to apply. And they come and they get to network with different corporations. So we partner with the HACU to learn about internships and or full-time roles. And that way you can also participate in different activities like our networking panel, participate in different workshops throughout the day. And then towards the final event of the day, we'll be meeting with the corporations one-on-one to just put your name out there and to promote yourself in terms of trying to secure an internship with one of those corporations with HACU. And also for our CIA bootcamp program, unfortunately, this event or this program has been postponed indefinitely, but we're hoping to have it back in Washington, D.C. either February or March of next year. But this is a program only geared for freshman students only. This is where we take students that are freshmen for 3 days to Washington, D.C. to visit CIA headquarters. And they get basically an overview of what the CIA does, opportunities are available to them that they want to apply for the future. And you may ask, why are they only targeting freshman students? For the CIA, they want to get freshman students early on in the process, just to make sure that they don't potentially do anything that could mess up the application down the line. So if they catch them early on at an early age, they can work with them and guide them in the right direction towards learning how to work or what it takes to work for a federal agency, such as the CIA. But like I mentioned, we'll be hoping to have the program back in person either February or March of next year. And it'll be for 3 days, and we take care of your housing and travel to Washington, D.C. for those 3 days. And also we have our Google Hispanic Student Leaders Virtual Summit, which took place back in April. And then we also offer international opportunities as well for study abroad. If you're interested in learning more about those programs as well, you can click on the link on the screen and it'll tell you more information about our study abroad programs as well. And as Hannah mentioned, we have our offices in California, DC, and San Antonio. If you have any questions for us regarding our programs, you can reach out to those contacts on the screen. And then also follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for further information about our programs and services. And just an overview of our events. As I mentioned before, our upcoming conference. And we will be having our Capital Forum, of course, next year for April of 2022, when we have a definitive date set for that as well. And of course, if there are any questions for Hannah or myself at this time, we can go ahead and answer those and take care and attend to those questions that you have for us at this time.
Great, thank you all so much. So I haven't seen any questions coming in through the chat yet, but students feel free to do that, or if you want to unmute and ask directly, that is fine as well. But thank y'all so much for this great information. And I actually learned a lot. I'm totally with Hannah. If I would have known about this when I was in college, I definitely would have applied too. And just learning about the housing and how you cover that too, because there's so many questions that come up with that as well. And then with all the conferences and events that you host, it's a great program that you all have. So thank you. All right, any questions, anyone? And for this part, I'll go ahead and stop the recording too, and we'll just see what questions students have. Maybe that'll make it a little easier. So thank you all again so much for coming and for being on with us.
Thank you so much for having us, Misty. We really appreciate it.